We're starting this project about Black women's rhetoric. And to start it off, we're kicking off with Lauryn Hill. We just watched her performance on Def Jam Poetry, entitled Motives and Thoughts. So we're just gonna discuss some of the things that we thought about while we are watching it.
Okay, so I'll start. I thought it was really weird, like how she was. I don't know. I thought she would be more interactive with the audience, and she really wasn't. Like she was just like reading. Like I feel like her words were really impactful, and they were deep. Like I had to listen to it three times for me to really even get some of those lines.
Yeah.
Like I felt her voice was nice and strong, and like, but she didn't just have much contact with the audience, but it didn't stop the impact because of like how she was coming at them with her voice.
Yeah, well, I think actually that's crazy because that's like the last thing I wrote is that her delivery was a warning. So maybe
Like a
that's why,
warning?
like a warning.
I could see
You know,
that
the
based
things that
off
she
of
was
the
talking
lyrical
about. Yeah,
content.
yeah. So the things she was talking about, she was warning people. You know,
Yeah.
like check your motives and thoughts. That was what the whole video was about. And she's just, you know, what are your motives? What are your thoughts? Like, where are you going with your thoughts and your motives and stuff? You know, as hip hop, I think she definitely took some elements of hip hop from just in this video because hip hop is all about like social critique. That's kind of where the basis of hip hop comes from, and that's not necessarily the basis of poetry.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's intertwining those, and she's a hip hop artist, and she's using a different medium to kind of do the same thing of what hip hop does.
Yeah, she does. And that's I don't know. I After I was like noticing her like big things, I really focused on her lyrics. Um, and like what really stuck out to me was her line about God. The first thing she said about God, about how he's like our creator or our savior, or she said God's our savior, right? And I was just like, it's crazy because of what we always talk about, how everything's of the universe.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how like he does this or he does that, but it's because he knows of what's gonna come next and what your next behavior is gonna be, and just like really makes you think like you just said, it's a warning. She knows what's gonna come next, and she's telling us like God's creating it.
So I think that's definitely like it just goes back to like it being a challenge. I mean, she's saying like check your motives and thoughts, and do you know what's gonna come next out of your motives and thoughts? Like what are the things you're saying? Where's your motivation? And then where's that gonna take you next? So that's wow, all that's crazy.
Another thing I noticed is when she was talking about like the gods of Egypt, though. Did you know she stuttered God?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you think that was on purpose?
I'm not sure.
Or what?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because then that can kind of go back to what you said about a warning, because she was talking about multiple gods at that point. So it's like maybe she's saying Gaga gods like kind of like scared or fearful, or like it's something that's not like, I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. I'm just not even sure if it was on purpose.
Yeah, that's shit we have to ask her.
Yeah, right.
I think it's definitely black women's rhetoric is a thing that happens based off of what black women see. So what you see and what you experience, and that's what makes it like rhetoric. And we talk about that with all of the black women rhetorics that we've ever studied in all of our classes. Just the things that they do and the things that they talk about are from their lives. These are observations from their lives. So this is also probably an example of that. You know, the just the things that she's seen in her life and the things that she's been going through. Obviously, so this performance was way after she broke up with the Fugees and she kind of disappeared. So this is her coming back, and this is her coming back and saying to people, this is like her coming back and saying to people, check your motives and thoughts, because where is it leading us? Where are you going next? And so
that's true.
That's definitely
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, that's how I really like to look at rhetoric, like, but it matters like the context and like the time that she did this performance. So like, those things matter a lot.
Yeah, that's really something to even think about, because now she's just coming out in the past 2 years performing more, because after she kind of took her little refuge period or whatever you want to call it, she didn't do anything. No one knew where she was or what she was doing, and now just her whole performance piece, the way it was, it really is like her coming back, being like, just because you think this or because you have these motives, that's not necessarily what it is. Like one line that really stuck out to me, just because I feel like I could connect it to like real life, was she was saying, while classes in government set up the veil, and talking about being blind with the wickedness. Like that's crazy, because it's true, because what they teach you in school is not necessarily what's true. And just because that's what they teach you doesn't mean that that's all there is out there.
Yeah, totally.
And I liked how she said, blind with the wickedness and, modern day wickedness is all you've been taught. Because that's so true.
And she said blind leading the blind. So
exactly.
it's like, the motivations of the people who's leading, like, you gotta check their motivations as well. She's really calling people out in all of this. And that's even Black women's rhetoric. That's Black women do a lot of calling out and speaking truth. And those are all like aspects of Black women's rhetoric that we, learned about in our course.
Yeah.
And they're just coming out right now. Like, and I don't even think that this was, necessarily I'm intending to make all of these things and I'm intending to have all these meanings, but she did it
the way she wants
it's just the way she really wants to warn people as a warning and not as a rhetoric and not as anything other than just like these people need to know this stuff, and this is from my experience.
And even going back to like a lot of the female rhetoricians we've studied throughout this course, and a lot of the methods they use, like a lot of speakers, like all of their names are escaping me right now, but just most of them who were doing it during like the suffrage movement. And you can really compare this to that because she's on a stage. You can say in a sense a poem is a speech. It's a way of her getting her words out. It's, veiled with metaphors. But that's kind of like that one song we wrote or we talked about where it was like we read the whole poem. It seems like she's talking so nicely about her husband, but when you read every other line, you see it's a coded message. Like, this is a coded message. It really could be a warning, just
that's
like you said.
Because like if you just listen to like just the way it sounds, it flows like it's poetry. So like it kind of has that up and down balance, and it's nice, and it sounds nice to like we like the way to hear it, but we don't really like what we're hearing from it, like because what we're hearing from it is like bad stuff. It's like stuff blind leading the blind, and like that just like that people's motivations are not necessarily true to what was going on. Everything else?
So, just Lauryn Hill's a great example of a modern day Black female rhetor. And some of you still might be confused by what that means, but you need to look at artists like Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu, Missy Elliott, and they all proudly like exude what that is. And that's what we hope to show you guys.